Good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to everyone that is joining us for not the Facebook Live, but a recorded session with myself, Kerry Suda, 16-year Tarawera veteran of some sort, I guess, having helped host the event since inception. I will be going through all sorts of bits and pieces to help you understand what to expect from the Tarawera Ultra Marathon in terms of racing and participating, spectating, and more. And to join with me is
Mark Fordham, the Operations Manager for the event. Kia ora, welcome everybody. Welcome Tarawera family or whānau. Glad to have you here.
And I'm Tanya Carroll, I'm the Regional Director for the event, and unlike Kerry, I've only raced it once and I definitely haven't won.
Tanya's done many ultra marathons, so don't underestimate her, and the experience in this team just with me is certainly something. So I respect them all and appreciate them coming along. And over in the corner, if you see just an arm wave, that's our outgoing event director. There we go, Mitch.
He's got a face for radio. So
hey. Well, already we found the level. Okay, so it'll seem pretty shotgun blast. I will put this up on YouTube and then feed it back into Facebook, and I'll try and time stamp things as best I can so you can jump to the pieces that you want to catch. There's a lot to cover, so I'll try and make it not take too much of your time. You may watch back and catch up on bits and pieces, and the team here will help me with the things I don't know or the bits that you should know, and anything that I get wrong, which will be, I'm sure, many. But I know the event relatively well. So getting in order, I think race week. I think a lot of people will be travelling in the next sort of 7 days. Recording this on a Thursday night, so it's really only about 9 days until the curtains open for reals. So my notes on travelling is just to make sure you sanitise, wear a mask, etc. Avoid getting sick in race week. It'd be a real shame if just something really simple happened on a flight or surrounded by a crowd of people in a bus that you could have avoided just by being a little bit more careful with your personal hygiene, particularly if you've spent many hundreds of hours training for the event and many thousands of dollars getting an expert coach to help you. So consider that. Try and get a little bit of extra sleep. That's a standard type of protocol for athletes that are getting into an early start, say a 4 a.m. start for the miler, or some of the early starts. Consider just preparing for that. I know for our Australian athletes, there's an extra couple of hours to contend with. So you can roughly shift your sleep patterns by about 1 hour per day, with wearing something to help yourself go to sleep and then shining a UV light in your eyes early in the morning. So there are some things you can do to help. That's true.
I've sort of found that I could never really sleep that well the night before the race as well. But as long as you get a good sleep the night prior, that seems to get me through. So that's just a little bit of rereassurance.
I think
one of my awake on Friday night.
The Thursday night's the key. Is definitely the one. I'd never. You sleep Friday nights before an event? No, there's always too much going on. I always envy those people that were able to sleep Friday night. Well done. And those who are getting up at 4 a.m. to go for a very, very long jog. You need not sleep. Might as well stay up. There's plenty to do on a Friday night and not to do anyway. So, so I would probably recommend, from a coaching perspective, I would say consider just doing a short night run or something just to make sure your headlamp's all okay if you're going to be running through the night or at night time. So it's something that you can do now. Just make sure the switches work, the battery's charged, and that all is good to go. Test back everything. See how your pack feels with everything in it, Ziploc bags and those sorts of things. Think about the order that you're going to use things in race day and how accessible you need things. If you have got some experience with this, it should be second nature, but you'll be surprised how many people arrive to a finish line having lost some of their mandatory equipment because they've rummaged around at the bottom of their pack to get something that should have been at the top. So that's pretty practical, normal ultra marathon.
Someone at Cosy actually did manage to lose their whole bag of mandatory gear that was inside their pack mid-race, so don't do that either.
Oh, I've seen it at UTA as well. So a bad day getting worse. So that's my couple of top tips that you can do in the next few days is just preparing for that. Thursday schedule, Mark, do you want to run us through what we're going to do on Thursday?
Yep, sure. So Thursday we open down at the Village Green from 2 p.m. And this year we've done things a little bit differently. We've kept Athlete Check-In, Expo and merchandise open till 8 p.m. that night. So you got a bit more time, so there's no stress to get in super early and register with everybody else. So take your time, come down a bit later. We're going to have some live music going this year. Hopefully the weather's beautiful like it is today in Rotorua. And come down and enjoy the scene. There's also Thursday night is the night market in Rotorua, popular event locally. So that's happening. So that's just up the road. So we sort of trying to recommend people go up there, maybe get some food and bring it down. We'll have a few more food trucks on the green as well. Should be a good night.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, Thursday's a good day to try and get through things where you can, and obviously if you are racing on Saturday, it's good to try and get off your feet as much as you can on the day before your race. So Thursday's a good day to try and get through things if you can. It's usually a little bit quieter for us, and all of the very the favourite merch is still available, right? And
Yes.
things always sell out, and people complain that there's not enough
The
merch.
name tees, hoodies always sell out. Get
Yep.
in
So get in early if you want it, or send someone down to go and get it if that's what you really want. If you've got your heart set on it, then yeah, make sure it happens for you. So there'll be expos from Friday. Is that right? So the full site is the Village Green will
from
be.
Thursday.
Yep.
From
Oh, okay.
Thursday, yeah.
Good.
Yep.
Okay.
It'll be live from 2 o'clock to 8 o'clock.
Okay.
And then again on Friday.
Okay, so I need to get my stand up sorted. Okay, I'll make sure I do that. Okay, good. Yes, there's awesome stalls. On Friday, we've got Q&A panels throughout the day. I would say check the event schedule. There's still some bits and pieces being plugged into it. So there'll be a on-stage Q&A. I think we've got Women in Trail. There's usually some...
That's right. Dirt Church are there as well. So yeah.
Yep. So check out the schedule. Come down and check that out. There's usually lots of stuff for stale. So bring loads of cash is the easiest way to deal with anything. But most of us can handle processing electronic transactions, albeit slowly. But I will try to process your electronic transactions. Bring your gear check, and if you are going through a gear check right before your race, if it's the last opportunity for you to get through registering and doing your gear check, just make sure that you've got backups of things that you are worried may not pass. So, things we see, if you're worried about your seam seal jacket may not pass, then bring a spare one, a better one, all those sorts of things. Don't be caught in a difficult situation and having to run off into the expo to purchase another one. So that would be the other trap. And if it is hot on that Friday, wear a sun hat, stay in the shade, make sure you hydrate, stay off your feet, wear sunblock, all of the obvious things that you should try and think about doing. It's really hard to be distracted with the whole circus of it all. So good advice. Miler briefings.
Yep, also happening on the Friday, so and a lot of you have already booked a place for that, thank you. So 11 a.m. is the first one, and then 4 p.m. is the second one. A lot of that stuff is, we'll go through the race and the course in a bit more detail, but a lot of it is around medical. It's a safety thing. When you're running 160 k's, there's a few things that could maybe go wrong, so it's just our Dr. Tom will be there to have a bit of a spiel.
It gets pretty crowded in there.
It does, yeah. So this year we're asking just athletes only for the briefing, and that's why we've split it as well, because we've got such good numbers this year, which is amazing. And so just athletes only if you can would be amazing.
And there is a bit more room in the afternoon session rather than the 11 o'clock. So if you haven't booked yet, that might be an idea as well.
Yeah, it's pretty busy through the earlier part of the day with people wanting to register and then be horizontal and stare at the ceiling and think about what's going to happen to them tomorrow. So, just on that, some of the mandatory gear stuff, just think about your high-vis stuff. Obviously, it needs to be to stand as well. It's mandatory for the 100-mile athletes at this stage. Will definitely be mandatory for 100-mile athletes. I'd recommend having one if you're part of the 100K, remembering your paces may need it as well. So, making sure that you have all your mandatory gear and it's all checked off. It's good to have high-vis vests because sometimes courses change at the last minute. So if you are travelling from overseas and you or your pacer may be in a situation, even in the 100K, where we may end up having to change the course for a bad weather event or something like that. God, hope we don't. We may end up doing road sections that require high-vis vests. So if it takes you, it's no burden to take it. I would say take it. It happens all the time at events that the last minute we've had to do something that's required. Seam seal jackets where we haven't needed them previously, or high-vis vests where we haven't needed them previously. Weather has really settled this week, but it's been diabolical prior. So the trails are great at the moment, but anything could happen. So I'm sure there'll be weather updates through the next week and a half. So we'll see how that goes. Just think about your schedule and what you need to do, and when you're coming to the expos. And like I said, busy in the morning, a bit more cruising in the afternoon. Usually we can refill drink bottles at the Village Green. Is there a drink station?
Water stations at the Village Green,
yeah. But it can get very hot and exposed. There are some umbrellas and bean bags and bits and pieces. I really recommend downloading the app. Everything's in the app. Pretty much everything's in the app.
Yep.
And then the live trail app for the athlete tracking for your spectators as well.
Yeah, so if there's an app that you can download and install, probably the answer to any of your questions that you've now got or have had that I haven't answered, they're in the app or on the website. And if you aren't already looking on the website, then start with the app. But like I say, I install it, and I don't like installing apps, but I run it. So
it's a lot easier to find the information on the app than it is on the website. So,
yeah,
highly recommended.
Yeah,
and the runner's guide is obviously another source of information as well, which obviously they all match, which
Yep.
is great.
And schedules and rules are the things that are really important to understand. So the question I always get asked is about poles. I know we're a little bit out of sequence with the coaching tip. Generally, athletes will benefit from using poles when they're moving about 8 minutes 30 per kilometre or slower. And so you might understand that is a brisk walk. And sometimes it's up a hill, sometimes it's on the flat. And if you are to look at your pacing for a lot of the events where you're taking, say, 28 hours plus to do 100 miles, then it's probably poles for a lot of it. I think that if you have trained with poles, you definitely should consider them. I always think that the last third of the 100k course would benefit from using poles. Certainly, probably the last third of the 50k could benefit from using poles, and a lot of the 100-mile athletes would benefit from using poles. Maybe up as far as 50% of the athletes in the back half, and used proficiently. They are a massive ergonomic aid, and they are cheat sticks, and we're seeing them be used more and more and more with each passing year. So lean into them. They're a thing. If you haven't already, for this event, think about them in the future. They are the only trick with poles. Please don't leave them at aid stations. It happened.
I've done that.
Yeah, the one I feel really bad about is Tarawera at where they're at the Smiths and then they get on a boat and then I've arrived at that aid station and seen a giant pile of poles orphaned at an aid station. So just if you arrive with poles, leave with poles would be my advice.
And the thing with poles is, yeah, it's not just the uphills, is it? Like towards the end of a race, going downhill is also
Yeah. Eccentric strength is the thing that fades the most, even for a flatter event like Tarawera. So your quads start to fatigue, and that pain that you feel slows you down. So if you can preserve some endurance in your quads and just look after yourself as best you can, then using the poles to help you with some of the descents is a really good idea if you can. It requires a reasonable level of proficiency with pole use to be able to do that, but if you have practice with them, then you can. A question I always get asked is about the best coffee in town. Eastwood, Capers, Secret Spot, Trail Kitchen's pretty good. Boasters, Mr. Wolf also do very great muffins. All worth going and checking out. Is that the local haunts for you guys?
Yeah, sure. And then there'll be coffee at the start lines at each distance as well, and then a couple of aid stations as well.
Yeah, on coffee.
Plenty of coffee around.
I'm not a coffee drinker, so you can't look at me.
Some people live off it; they cannot survive without it. So, there's also great restaurants. There's loads of buffets in town. Eat Street is probably a good start. I really like the idea of checking out the farmers market. The night market, because you can get little potato spirals, and everyone loves those. There's loads of buffets. Check out the Skyline buffet, which is amazing, and also the Tapuia buffet, which is shout out to is it's pricey but worth every penny, I think. If you finish early enough, I would say get down there after your race. That would be something I would recommend doing. Other cool stuff to do in town is obviously loads of mountain biking, hot pools, Buried Village, cultural shows, the luge at the Skyline, and motion entertainment is a great way to entertain kids. I usually pump out a top things to do in Rotorua blog post that I'll put into the group to help people with those sorts of things. You're not just an athlete, you're probably also helping other people that are coming to town to experience some of the culture and some of what Rotorua has to offer. Make sense?
Yeah. Nice walk in the redwoods as well.
Oh yeah, the Skywalk's pretty cool. Yeah, through there. Yep. And so race day, there's a lot happening on race day. Obviously, we've got a number of start lines and a number of courses. I'll go over the courses in detail in a bit. I've timestamped them at the start of this video so you can jump to them. All info is on the website is correct, including the GPXs for the courses. I checked them with our course manager Nick Ritter today, and they certainly line up with what he has as the latest. So we all agree. Everyone agrees we're going the same way. Probably the things worth noting, and it's a question we often get, is there's no spectators at the outlet for the 100k and 100 mile. In previous years, it has been available, but you cannot get to the outlet as a spectator for those two distances. There's usually a fire risk in the forest that prohibits that, but it's logistically very hard to sort out. Maybe we'll come back in future years, but currently not something this year. Probably worth noting on that as well is access to the forest is strictly prohibited. So our Kawerau forest, our Rota ET15 forest, all of those forests currently no training on them.
Yep, that's right.
And it's because they are working forests, like there is a genuine health and safety risk if people do go through, and it also can jeopardise the future of the race if the landowner is happy with runner behaviour before the race. So help us out and don't train there. There's plenty of other amazing places to run around here that you can.
Yeah, don't be that person that ruins it for some 6,000 other people that want to do this event. So, it's pretty straightforward. If you don't know, ask, and if it's still not clear, ask me. And if you get it wrong, expect to be shouted at. It would be a really unfortunate thing to do.
We like to keep some sort of surprises,
Yeah, that's right. Also, there's always good places you can see only on race day. So, Yep, so all spectators need to buy. So there's some bus ticket stuff that you probably all need to understand. Buses are well explained on the website. All bus tickets are still available if needed.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So the key one there is obviously Okatona aid station for our 100 mile and 100k athletes. So all spectators will need to get a bus ticket to get down from the road to ET Rugby Club down to Okatona. The road is closed in there. There's no exception to that. That's pretty straightforward. There's a coffee cart out there.
Yeah, this year there's going to be a coffee cart on site. Once again, coffee everywhere. And the scouts are going to be doing a sausage sizzle as well for the spectators and supporters, given you're quite isolated out there. And you could be waiting out there for quite a while, depending on where your athlete is. So
yeah,
it's going to be good.
So that's at Okatona Aid Station. There is going to be quite an excellent barbecue. I was talking to Ben Elton about that. Take some cash down. I've got all kinds of different sausages, including sausages for those people who don't want to ruin the planet by eating cows. So that's an option. Remember, probably actually best to have tons of cash wherever you go because it's just going to be easier for the week. Buses to the first few aid stations. So for the 50k course, there is an opportunity to spectate at Puaringa aid station. Mm-hmm. You'll catch a bus from the Waipa Mill car park.
That's right. Yep.
Must pre-purchase tickets at the Village Green.
Yeah, so they can be purchased when you're checking in, or just when you're on the Village Green period. You just can't purchase them at the Waipa car park. Same goes for Okatona and the Rotary Rugby Club. Can't purchase them on site, but you can purchase them from the Village Green, ahead of time.
Yeah, definitely worth doing. For the 100 mile athletes, spectators, you can drive all the way to Planet Bike to spectate only 100 mile athletes at that Puaringa aid station, which is their first aid station, I think. So it's only something like 10 kilometres in. But if you want to see someone there, you can. It's not a standard crewing location. So standard spectator. There's lots of great spectator locations that are not crewing locations. I'll touch on those when I go through the map. So I'll help you out with some of that. The other thing is that another question that crops up all the time is paces. Paces for the 100 mile, you must carry all of the mandatory gear at all times, without exception, unless Mark has said otherwise. So let's just be entirely clear about that. Unless something changes in the race briefing, all the mandatory gear at all times, and you must have your pacer number with you as well.
And I'm not sure if we cover it further on, but pacers can get their gear checked. Obviously, they can get their gear checked and register when the check-in is open for runners, but also on Saturday when the check-in is now closed, pacers that haven't arrived earlier can go in and check in at the info tent on the Village Green as well.
Massive stretch to do that, but just think about how you're going to coordinate that. And again, all the information is on the website. Just make sure you get it right. Again, showing up at OTT Rugby Club thinking you can just catch a bus doesn't work like that. It requires a little bit of planning. Just think about your logistics. Crewing is allowed only within a few hundred metres either side of the aid station. So there is no ability for you to interact with your runner, touch them or support them in any way outside of those designated crewing spots that are at the aid stations, and they are specific aid stations only. That information is available on the website regarding the aid stations. You should already know what they are. Typically they are ones that have drop bags, but not always, like Otiumuri and a couple of other key places. But just please check the website very carefully about which aid stations you are allowed to interact with athletes. Please, no interacting with athletes outside of those aid station spaces, because there are a couple of places on roads and various other places that you could see an athlete, you could touch them, but please don't. I don't want to see people disqualified or given horrendous time penalties because they did something dumb, but it's all relatively straightforward. So you've got, generally there'll be a signpost saying there's an aid station coming up. Generally that's something like 200 metres prior to an aid station, and then 200 metres either side of an aid station. If your runner needs some support there, you can pull something from their bag, you can run to the aid station, refill it, you can put it back in and run on. It's a great way to keep things relatively quick, but please be careful with how you're interacting at aid stations and how you're supporting athletes. They can get very busy, like Tiki Tapu is absolutely manic, so be respectful and consider athletes' needs first through there.
And just a note for spectators and support crew, we're noticing that we get probably not only this event, but all events are getting more and more people coming along to spectate and to support their athletes, which is awesome. But we have noticed it's obviously a big day for the athlete, but it's just as big a day for the support crew. So make sure you get some rest throughout the day. It's really crucial, and it's one that you need to look after yourself before you can look after your athlete. So, and also it can be deceiving. I know it can be. You can be rushing between aid stations, thinking that you're not going to make it, but it's always deceiving. It always seems to take much longer for the athlete to get there than you think. So just take your time getting between aid stations. Yeah, drive carefully.
100%. Even the elite athletes crew can get between all of the aid stations to crew elite athletes at the speeds that they are going. So I can guarantee everyone else will make it. And for a lot of these places, it's 2 hours plus between places. So you've got plenty of time. All I would say is just maybe use your Google Maps or Apple Maps, if that's still a thing, and check the road conditions and follow the road rules. Remember, you will get fatigued as well, and look after your own health and safety as well. We tend to not have small accidents on the road, so please be very careful. Use toilets as provided, be respectful of the land and the landowners, and think about your food and your rubbish, think about your sunblock, all of the things, all of the little bits and pieces. So I think that's fair.
And support crew at checkpoints, there's areas within those checkpoints where only one support crew is allowed, and again, we're not trying to ruin anyone's fun, it's just again because of the numbers of people and the number of support crew, it would be a horrible experience for runners if they can't get through to find their food and all the rest of it. So if you just be mindful of that.
Yeah, it's not draconian rules. It's about trying to make things fair and equitable for everybody, so that we can still host the event without sort of hindering other people's progress or detracting from their day in a fair and equitable way. So moving on to aid stations now, I think that one of the questions I see a lot is people ask about the NAC electrolyte mix is at 100% on all aid stations. Water is available at all aid stations. Occasionally there's a few bits and pieces if it's going to be particularly hot, where there may just be a vehicle with some water available, but don't assume it's an aid station, and be respectful of those sorts of things in those situations. The crew will always try to, on the fly, meet everyone's needs as best they can. So if it's going to be a particularly hot day, they will try and do the best that they can, but assume will be at the very least the aid stations will have the things that you require. Everything that is at the aid stations is listed on the websites. Some aid stations have additional hot food items, which should be available at all times, not just after dark.
Correct. Yeah.
Do we want to get into the weeds about how good our aid stations are and what is where?
Yeah, sure. We try and keep them the same, so that that's one of our objectives, so that you know what to expect when you get to an aid station. So once you've been to the first one, which will be Puringa for many, and then others, just expect the same thing at each aid station. It makes it a bit simpler, especially if you're moving through there really quickly. Someone described it as like a small children's party. Is that correct?
Yeah. Pretzels and jelly beans and jet planes and snakes and
and the aid station crews that we have at this event, I've been on a whole heap of events, and they are next level.
Yeah.
The energy they bring is just it's pretty amazing. And they all have themes, and they dress up, and they're really passionate about it. They own the aid station, so they're something pretty special. So I'm looking forward to everyone experiencing that.
Yeah, one of the things you can actually do to influence your performance outcome at an event is be outrageously positive. And these volunteers generally are outrageously positive, and it's an opportunity at each aid station for you to interact with them in a way that brightens your spirits as well. So I would say, enjoy it, give them a high five, tell them your best dad joke, and then carry on. And you will actually, your race time will get better. So, we always say, if you can't be the fastest person, be the happiest person. So these people will help you do that, and you can lift their spirits too. So give a little back, but always be very grateful for all of our volunteers out in the course. Some of them are doing lots of shifts all over the place. There's probably some 700 volunteers. We got like insane.
Just under that.
Yeah. So there's more than one volunteer for every 10 athletes. So
and it's a great way for us too to give money back put money back into the community, because they're sporting clubs or community groups, etc. So they get funds for helping everyone out and helping us out. So.
And sometimes they're left to a lonely trail intersection or somewhere on the road that's like, isn't the most fun position to be at some unusual hour, particularly when it's raining. So they're the ones that really need cheering up. If you can sneak in behind them and just give them one of those little electric shock tickles under the ribs. No, don't touch our volunteers. So unless they want to be touched. There's Coca-Cola at the aid stations. Actual real Coca-Cola, is that right?
Real Coca-Cola.
That's exciting. All of the aid stations?
All of them?
Like we're all confused. Yeah, all the aid stations. I would say as a coach, I would recommend using your caffeine lever a little bit more in your final third as opposed to your first third. The black doctor is there to fix problems more often than not, but often getting yourself absolutely jacked on stimulants really early in the day isn't conducive to much other than a few emergency jungle poos. So we want to avoid that, and your performance will be better if you manage your caffeine usage through the day. But yeah, Coca-Cola is heckin' great. So thanks for no brand cola. Cool. First aid, I'll touch on very briefly. I want to just run it through as bullet points. Dr. Tom is a great resource for this, and there's great stuff on the website, resources about this. People don't tend to care about first aid until they're actually involved in it, which is an unfortunate relationship to have with it. They don't think about the things that could lead to them being medically retired until they are getting medically retired. So maybe reading these things on the website or listening to something that Dr. Tom has to say either this year or in previous years could be incredibly useful and worth seeking out now. Something like 15 to 20% of our athletes won't see the finish line on certain courses. So if you can fix it, prevent it, then do so. My first one is obviously drink the thirst. Be very careful about your hydration needs. A lot of people doing sweat tests nowadays and say that they lose 2 litres an hour in their first hour. Please don't drink 2 litres of water per hour. You're going to have a really bad day. Dr. Tom will clarify, but something like 500 mils to 600 mils is pretty standard per hour during the normal parts of the day. Drink to thirst is a really safe ad libitum approach to hydration, and I would recommend people did that. The other one I would say is be very careful with your NSAIDs, your ibuprofen or anti-inflammatories. Very dangerous. Obviously, your kidneys are under a lot of stress on race day. You'll see people get rhabdomyosis, even just without putting that added stress of NSAIDs. So any anti-inflammatories puts your kidneys at further risk, reduces your ability to process a lot of your fuels. It breaks down your gut biome and is not recommended. If you absolutely must, you can have an ordinary human dose of Panadol, but it's as prescribed as normal dosages would be, and it's not going to save you from endurance fatigue. It'll save you from that clicking tendon on the side of your knee, maybe. But I really wouldn't recommend it because you're going to compromise your body that is already in a compromised state. So see if you can stay healthy and avoid anything that comes from a tray if you can possibly do it. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Dr. Tom will have great guidance there. The medical tent's excellent through the finish line. They will see you, usher you, look at you. They've got 5 simple rules. He goes through them all. Just manage your fatigue. Think if plan A is not going to happen, it's okay. Plan B, plan C, and plan D. It's okay to slow to walk unless you get medically required. It's often okay just to sit at an aid station, just gather your thoughts and think about processing some things for half an hour or even an hour before you get up and move on, and that's totally okay. Is that pretty normal? You must have been through some dark ones.
Absolutely, yeah. And as you say, again, if you're out on course even before you get to the aid stations, don't feel like you've got to push through it. Slow to a walking pace. Get your feet back, and away you go.
Yeah. Run if you can. Walk if you must. Crawl if you have to. It's kind of how it goes. But there's too much celebration of suffering in our sport as it is, and you're no extra hero for crawling across the finish line on all fours than every other person that came before you. So there's no need to Dave and Goggins, everything from start line. Just enjoy your day out there, try and keep a smile and stay healthy and enjoy it. If it doesn't happen this year, it's okay, it'll be there next year. And you'll come back next year with a much better plan and a much better coach, and we will get you through it. So that's what I would recommend. Medical team's amazing, costs us a lot of money. So I hope you don't have to use them, but you can. Travel makes everything harder, so think about your travel to the event and away from the event, particularly for those people that plan to go home on a Sunday after a big Saturday or a Sunday night after a big run. Please be very careful on the roads. Take frequent naps if you absolutely have to. Break up your journey. I know some athletes are going as far as Topol, which is 1 hour down the road, and that's as far as they're going to go on day one and then carry on their trip back to Wellington. So just think about breaking things up. It's pretty fair. Yep. We want everyone's safety to be most important. Foot triage is a big one, particularly for newer athletes. Think about what you can do to prevent failure before it becomes too much of a problem. There's a great book called Fixing Your Feet, but if you're not already sure, maybe start banging into Dr. Google or ChatGPT a few different ways to triage foot problems before they arrive. Often when it's hot, people get blisters on the bottom of their feet. How you prevent that, whether it's dry, changing to dry socks, changing to dry shoes, or managing those sorts of things, is very useful. A lot of people will DNF simply because their feet start to fall to bits, and I believe all foot problems are avoidable. If you knew what to do at the right time, you can get through. And if you're not sure, ask one of the medical medical professionals at an aid station.
Yeah, like a little problem at 10 k's in can become a very big problem, sort of 150 k's later. So just listen to your body.
Yeah.
And I think also the medical teams are there actually to help. Don't be scared about going and seeing them, and that they're going to somehow try and convince you to stop. A lot of them are runners. They know, how to treat people, and they want you to get back out on the course. So don't be afraid to see them.
I will shortly dive into the courses, the start lines, and how all of them go. There's a couple of points that I think everyone should be absolutely clear on, and that's for our 50k athletes. I'll touch it on again. You have got an extra loop out what we call Masi Baha at Orotukakahi. That's different to some of the other courses that go through that point. Just be aware that for the 50k you have that extra loop. It occasionally gets missed. There are timing mats to track to make sure you definitely go through it, and we will marshal it aggressively and try and shoot people in the correct direction. There's always a couple, though, that manage to somehow elude us and end up a few kilometres short of the finish line. So if you are in the 50k, just look at the part that I'm talking about. We'll cover it off when I go through the course in a moment. For the 100k and 100 mile courses, one of the key gotchas is Western Okataina. As a bugbear, it's the longest duration that you'll be between aid stations. For a lot of the athletes that we're working with, it's about 2.5 hours between Okataina and Miller Road. So 2.5 hours is quite a consideration for your hydration requirements and your fuel requirements. So just be aware of that if you're playing around on Ultra Pacer or any of those sorts of websites to work out your times through parts of the course. Just be respectful of what Western Okataina is going to take. There is no opportunity to refill your water bottles in there, and people will often show up at Miller Road on fumes.
And we've actually bumped up Miller Road a little bit as well. We've put a bit more shelter there this year, made it a bit more of a hub. There's hot food there now, so super noodles. So that's just maybe something to get you going. There's a bit of a refuge at the end.
Yeah, but also a note is that Miller Road is not a crew point or spectator point. So Miller Road is closed. You can't progress any further than Okaraka Village, really. I'll touch on that in a minute. But understand what the protocol is for where you can go and can't go as a spectator, and I'll touch on that as best I can. Right, I think I might do finish line before I jump into the courses. What should we expect at the finish line, those who haven't experienced it before?
Tanya's probably experienced more than I have.
Amazing cultural experiences. So we have a Kapa Haka group come along for the first finishes for the Mala and the 100k, which is amazing. And I know that's just the pointy end of the field, but the finish line hub is amazing. There's a licensed area there, as Mark mentioned before. There's food trucks. We've tweaked the finish line this year to hopefully give spectators even more access to the finish line. So yeah, it's a blast.
Yeah, it's right next to the lake. It's a beautiful place to hang out. Expo vendors, and it should be a good time. Yeah,
it's good fun down there. Did you know in 1986, 3 lions escaped from the Welling Brothers Circus right there on that village green and ate a poodle called Lucy?
Oh.
There we go. That's the interesting animal facts for the village green. Actually, that's a good point. No dogs on the village green. Not just because of the lions, the occasional lion situation, but for the other reason why we obviously don't have dogs on the village green. So what about coming down the finishing chute with family and friends? Where are we with that?
Yes, for the 100k and miler, we do. Because of the numbers we've got in the 50k and the 21 and 14, that's where we just restrict it to the 100 and miler.
Good to know. So sharing the success of the athlete that has put you through hell for the last 6 months, complaining about all of their little problems on weekends whilst they took off to do their selfish habit. But you can come down the finishing line, give us a high five and a cuddle if you can. I'll be down there with a good solid commentary team welcoming everyone in from, we've got quite some hours to host there, all the way through to 4 p.m. on Sunday.
Yes, 4:07.
Yeah, so as Tanya said, highly recommend getting there for the first 100k finishes, first 100 mile finishes, your finisher, that whoever that may be, and the final finishes for the 100 miles from about 3 p.m. onwards to 4 p.m. is absolutely wicked good. There's a really good, feel good stuff going on there, and everyone's support is welcome. We love. So there's a really good medical team that will see over our longer distance athletes, and a really good opportunity for all athletes to resupply as they exit the finish line area.
Yep, yeah, there'll be a recovery tent in there that's catered for the longer distances, and then bunch of the similar things that you would have seen at the aid stations for the slightly shorter distances. So yeah, something to keep you going.
Yeah, it's a good chill out area. A lot of people sit down and just have a chat to other people out there, and
Absolutely.
It's really neat social opportunity. So you can see who's wearing a green ribbon, and maybe that could be the green ribbons. It's Valentine's Day on the 14th. Come see me at my marquee on Friday, and I'll give you a green ribbon. And you can chuck it on your pack if you want, and you can do what we call speed dating or slow dating, depending upon which what distance you're running and how fast you're running it. But it has worked in the past, weirdly. So there's been one marriage I know of from green ribbons. So that's fingers crossed for everyone out there that can still cross their fingers. Come down and hang out with us on the finish line. What else is there?
Just have to think twice before you take a seat in that recovery tent, because there's a bit of a magnet and you might not want to leave.
Yeah. Or just try to enjoy it. Don't feel you need to hurry through. It's all part of your experience, and that's why you've paid the staggering entry cost. I'm only joking. Also down some chocolate milk. Chocolate milk is wicked for recovery. I highly recommend that you consider your rehydration needs. Again, chocolate milk is great, or soy milk if you want to save the planet, and getting to bed as early as you can. You may not sleep particularly well on the night after a race. That's pretty normal, but being restful is the best thing that you can do. Often your ability to return to training or racing in the immediate future is dictated by what happens in that first 24 to 48 hours following an event. So often you consider it a bit like your sports, your sideline injury recovery type stuff. So your rest, ice, compression, elevation type stuff is pretty normal. So think about those things too, and have a good old lie down, I think, and that would be the only thing that I would accelerate: hydration and naps.
And if it's cold, although it's looking like it might, it probably won't be, but make sure you get clothes back on yourself pretty quickly as well. You might feel hot when you first finish, but get an extra layer of clothes on. Yeah,
people certainly do cool down very quickly. You can all see the screen now, I know, because of my techno nerdery. What I will do is I'm going to cover off I'm going to cover off all courses kind of at once. But the way to do this is to talk about the 100-mile course, because it overlaps pretty much every other course. So nested within that 100-mile course is all the other courses. Apologies if you just came to hear the 50k information. Much of it will be here, but I will try and get through it as best I can and cover it as best as possible. The 50k and the 100-miler starts at Te Puia. Usually marshalled up in the top car park at Te Puia, and then you can walk down and join us. Mm-hmm. You can bus from the village green to the start line for both of those events.
That's right. In
fact, it is recommended.
Yep. Yeah, it's probably worth, especially for the miler athletes, when you're checking in or visiting the village green on the Friday or the Thursday, we'll have the bus signs up then, so just go and have a look, because it's going to be dark, obviously. Make sure you're aware of where that bus leaves from. It's right next to the village green. It's very easy to find, but when it's dark and you're a bit nervous.
Is it down in the main car park area here? To the east? Oh, the left-hand side.
Yeah, near the
outside Novotel.
That's right.
Okay, cool. So that's where the buses are going.
And we also have the T14 now, also leaving from Te Puia on Sunday, and the buses leave the same spot but on the other side of the road, so actually on the Novotel side of the road for the T14. Cool. And again, we'll have signs up there, so it should be pretty easy. So
the T14 first year being hosted is on Sunday,
right.
And all of the coolest people are going to do an event on Saturday and another event on Sunday.
Right.
There will be some.
Wusses if they don't.
Yeah, that's correct. If you haven't done the 50k on Saturday and come down to do no, so so T14 will also start at Te Puia. I will cover that one separately last because look, they're probably not watching this video in the first place, but their course is a little bit different, significantly different, in fact. So you'll start. You can park at the top car park if you really want to. There's plenty of car parking here. This was my rollerblading rink, but it's a short walk around to get to Te Puia, and you will muster up here. Everyone's got coloured bibs to notify their start locations. You will be outside the marae here and ushered down to do your starts, except the elites that have a little nerdy elite sticker to let them know that they are not a colour, they are a shiny diamond.
Oh, they're a pink colour.
Oh, they're a pink. Okay, cool. If you've got a pink one, well done. It's not all about you. Anyways, you'll have it through. It's a little bit narrow in places through here. Just be sensible about, in the 50k, about some of the sharper corners. You go past Pahutu Geyser, which is down here, which is super special, and hopefully it's kicking up rough at the time that you're going past. The bridge here is a great spot to stop and take a photo. Many people do, but be considerate of everyone running past. Once you get out of Te Puia, you'll go across that back car park and into Hemel Gorge. Hemel Gorge is pretty single track. If it's going to be slower, it's often slower through the switchback through here as people settle into single file, but it won't be too bad. You've got about 1k through Hemore Gorge. This is the direction for Puarenga Stream to drain in, and then you come out to the Waipa mountain bike car park. For those that are wanting to witness athletes running, you can drive to Waipa mountain bike car park. There is pretty generous parking here, and you will be able to walk across the side here and see your 50k and 100 mile athletes, but you cannot interact with them. So that is an opportunity. This is where the buses depart from for the 50k. So you'll be boarding your bus typically over here by Secret Spot, and then catching your bus to see your runners at Puarenga. So the 100 mile athletes are allowed to drive down Waipa State, down past the mill here, but no one else is in the 50k.
Why not the athletes? Just the speakers.
Sorry, you don't know. No athletes should be driving anywhere. Athletes have got some time on yellow track, and then they climb up Pohatoaroa. Some really beautiful views from the morning. There's a really great trig here, really great lookout through here. So this little spot is quite a sustained climb for about a couple of 1.5 kilometres up to the top here. It's the first major hill for those 50k and 100 mile athletes before dropping down a fun set of stairs to the lookout point proper, views over Pahutu Geyser and everyone that you've just ditched at the start line. Down the hill through to Pohatoaroa Road, through to Nursery Road. Nursery Road's a nice big open road. You're going down through Baker's Hollow, and then back through the back end of Yellow Track. You're coming out, crossing Nursery Road. You're climbing Pig Track to the resort, which is not such a resort. And then the end of... you drop down Cardiac Stairs, which is again a fairly steep set of stairs, down to the wash, through the wash to Nursery Road, along Nursery Road. A lot of this has been filled now, so it's will be represented a little bit differently. And then to Puarenga Aid Station, which I said you can catch the bus to for 50k spectators. 100 mile athletes can, 100 mile spectators can drive to Planet Bike, which is here. Ed will have a coffee cart here during sunlight hours, and Ed will make you a most excellent coffee. Or famous Sam Osborne could maybe making that coffee as well. So through Puarenga, which is some of the most lovely running for anybody's course. This is absolutely spectacular. So even worth checking out prior or after race day. If you wanted to go for a walk, that is my secret spot tip to go and check out for a short walk. You then do Reservoir Road, Loop Road, and then you'll climb back through to what was part of Black Track. You'll shuttle back down through to Poplar Link. I'm trying to remember all of these roads as I remember them now. And Poplar will take you through to Long. Long Drive goes through to the natives. Block of natives through here. How am I doing this?
Incredible.
It's been over 5 years since I've been in the forest team. You've got quite a climb through natives. It's been recut. There's a realignment in here that's really nice and lovely compared to the original natives that you might remember. That brings down to Sandstone. For me, doing the miler, this was actually my first opportunity to get the poles out. And I use the poles. There's quite a reasonable little climb here on Forestry Road, which is great as we go around Kakapiko, which is a high lookout point. You'll come across to cross 8 Mile Gate Road on Black Track, but reach the Orotakaki Aid Station, which is normally at this intersection or thereabouts.
Yeah, around there. Yep.
Yep. So this is still our 50k and 100 mile athletes, and this is where it gets important. So the 100 mile athletes will be marshalled to turn left. They'll be ascending on Branch Road, which is relatively steep and sustained, four-wheel drive road, and then they'll be joining Tiki Tapu. For the 50k athletes, you will be staying on straight. Please pay attention to this intersection, and please pay attention to this intersection, because you will be going off to do a little loop out here, and you'll be doing what's called Mosi Baha. Very pretty part of the course as you climb up through and do Mosi Baha and lakefront. Some spectacular views of Rotakaki, which is a private lake that only iwi has access to. So very special and sacred lake. These islands are original sites of some marae and sacred burial places for some of the great Rotorua dignitaries over the years. So really special that you go and see that. You'll come back and check in again to your course. You'll see some people going past some beautiful redwoods here as they go out to do their loop, and you'll give them a high five and wish them all the best. You'll be climbing up what we call Jeff's Link and joining Tikitapu Road, barreling along Tikitapu Road, which climbs steadily at first, lovely open four-wheel drive road, gets steeper towards the top, and then you'll reach the skid site, which is a major junction for your courses, but no courses will be out here at this stage. Just the 50k and 100 mile courses will be sidling along the top of Tikitapu. You'll be able to see down here to the north, beautiful blue lake, and some of your future distance for where you'll be going. So the 50k course does what here, Mark?
The 50k course takes a left turn and heads to the Tikitapu aid station, a massive hub for the event, and a great spot for a swim actually, if it's a nice beautiful hot day. You got your togs on you? Yeah, for crew and spectators and even athletes. So that's probably worth knowing. You have got a course split here, 50k athletes. So
That's right.
at the skid site, be aware, 100 mile athletes and 50k athletes.
Yeah.
And I'll catch up with you, 50k athletes, in a minute once we get back here with our other courses later on.
And there'll be signage and marshals, but again, I
Be
agree it's
aware.
important to be aware and then
Yep.
keep your
Yep.
wits about you.
So still just 100 mile athletes now at this stage. We're going to deal with them for a minute so everyone else can go to sleep. 100 mile athletes will come out to Tarawera Road. This is your high-vis point. So expect you must wear your high-vis point. You must run within the cones and the road verge.
Yep.
You will be on the left-hand side of the road here, the west-hand side, travelling a lovely road downhill. And for those of you who don't like road, these will be the fastest kilometres of your day, probably. So embrace that moment because your K splits are going to be down into the 430s. Blaze it. And then all the way along Tarawera Road to Buried Village. Now, what can you tell us about Buried Village, Mark?
You mentioned the secrets there, but you probably know more about Buried Village than I do. I know it's a beautiful spot. It's a very popular spot for spectators and supporters. It usually gets very, very busy. So it's a good spot to visit if you've got an athlete doing the miler.
Yeah, and again, if you're here on a Thursday or Friday or a Sunday, it's a great trip out for friends and family to check out Te Arawa Buried Village. It's a lot of history from a volcano that threw up on itself and everyone else about 160 years ago. So heaps of history there, which is really cool. Often we do high tea and scones with jam and cream historically with the event.
Yep.
High tea it is. Okay, so
And for spectators, so that's obviously for the runners,
Yep.
and then also the cafe is based there
Yep.
as well. Also
Yep.
doing.
Yep.
Also
And
doing
if
stuff.
they have free Wi-Fi, so you can absolutely cripple their ADSL connection with 150 people trying to get on it at once. So the parking is a little bit tight through here. So I think just be respectful.
And there is extra parking just further along, and you can
Back up
walk,
here?
Yeah, and you
So
can
that's
walk,
where you're welcome.
you can walk
Okay,
down.
good. So
Yep.
the main Tarawera Trail car park is right here. That's actually what I would recommend because you're not overcommitted to trying to get into Buried Village. So you can park there and walk down on the road verge if you're very safe.
No, there will be a
you've got
marked
dedicated-
track down through the
kind of
Tarawera
Oh,
see
cool.
through
Okay,
the-
the Tarawera Trail.
through to the
Yep.
Buried Village.
Yep,
Keep
cool.
them off the road. Keep them
Sweet.
safe.
I'm happy with that. So yeah, do they then get to cut through some of this as well in the back here of the back of the Buried Village?
Yeah, they
Fantastic.
follow the track
Sweet.
shortly, and then for a little bit, then they cut off and go to the
Sweet.
aid station.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's signs there as well.
Great. So that's my recommended parking for the milers. This is the last time you see them for a little while. They've got about 13 and a half kilometres to run from here through, I think, one of the best sections of trail for all courses. They'll drop down past the waterfall here and then join the Tarawera Trail proper. They will then descend relatively steeply down into the valley. My time to Hot Water Beach from here is 1 hour and 1 minute. But you're probably going a little bit slower on race day. It is lush. It is a mix of manuka and kanuka. There was 2 trees down there, but I think they've been tidied up, so trail's good through there.
Yep, yeah, the tracks had a good trim actually. We went out there and did it as a team activity. It was very nice.
Was that the day before all of that horrendous amounts of rain
It
came
was
through?
the day of the rain.
Okay,
we,
yeah, cool.
Yeah, we beat most of it.
Committed to the cause. So it is spectacular. There's a couple of points where you get to see Lake Tarawera, which is massive with views of the mountain in the background. Snap a couple of photos of the Maunga itself. It's very special. One of the big 5 climbs is in here at another place that's also called Wairoa. There's a river you cross and a bridge, and then there's a section that's it's exactly 1 kilometre to climb to the top. It is no stopping along here. There is risk of rockfall. There is signage to tell you that. Please be careful. There's no track intersections along any of this course, so the signage is all pretty straightforward. You're just following pink ribbons and no intersections. There is, if you really must, you can fill your water at Twin Streams, which is along here. There's a stream that comes out of the ground. You probably won't need it though. The lake is entirely drinkable, although Ironman might not officially say so. I have drunk it plenty and nothing ever went wrong with me. From the top here you can see Rotomahana, which you'll be crossing shortly on a boat. It is a relatively longer and sustained descent down here as you come down. A lot of stairs. It's a little bit more washed out and rutted out in places through here because the weather does seem to catch it. You'll come down to Hotwater Beach, and if you were to look to the left, there is a great place to go family camping if you ever get a water taxi. Otherwise, you'll be carrying along here to, which is called Te Ariki, not the Isthmus Aid Station. There was a site of a sacred village here that got levelled in the eruption, and it's a very important spiritual place as well. You'll leave the shores and go over a slight rise to get over to Rotomahana. Rotomahana was the lake that filled in the 2 lakes that were there before the eruption, the hot lake and the cool lake, and after the eruption Rotomahana filled, gradually spilling over into the other lake, taking with it the pink and white terraces, and now being the lake that you see today. It is still filling with no natural outlet, and it spills onto the farm that you're travelling across. There are how many boats? 3 boats. So there is a raised jetty at this end. Just be patient and board in the order that you arrive in. Even with 2 boats, there was not a lot of waiting. You are on time on course, so there's no stoppage time for you to do this. But don't worry, no one is significantly handicapped by this. Everyone suffers it relatively evenly.
Yeah, and they're 3 big purpose-built pontoon boats. And they're pretty lush. They've got beautiful cushions, and you might not want to get off. But it's a nice feature of the mile, of course. And I'm actually a little bit jealous because I've never been on Lake Rotomahana myself. And it looks beautiful.
Yeah, the water visibility is about 3 inches though, so I wouldn't recommend it for a swim. And you'll get off at the other side. It's the side of some farmland. It's a little muddy on the banks, but I am assured that you'll get off there with dry feet if you were worried about that. This is a very exposed part of the course. You're now about 45 kilometres into your day for the 100-mile athletes. So it can be very hot. You're heading through the middle part of the day for many athletes. So just think about how exposed you're going to be, your sunblock requirements that you could have seen to whilst you're on the boat here, and your hydration needs as well. You'll carry along the farmland, which is great views of the mountain, pretty exposed otherwise. Before reaching Ash Pit Road and leaving to go into our first section of Tarawera Forest, there's lovely scoria through here, and even some obsidian rocks. If you keep an eye out on the road verges and on the trails, you can get some really big black rock specimens that are still littered all over the place from the eruption. I've got a couple of big ones that you can get readily.
There used to be a lot more road running, a lot more exposed sections, so it's nice to be.
Yep, this is one of those sections that's closed forest that we don't get to train on, that you only get to do on race day. You'll come out at Rerewhakaitu Aid Station. This aid station is one of the key meeting points for crew and spectators. This is a drop bag location. If you're driving out here, just follow the signage. You'll be mustered to do a loop through the paddock. Follow the arrows because you'll be going in a clockwise or anti-clockwise direction. It's corralled and marshalled so that your cars don't get stuck or put in awkward places. But one of the notes that I got from our course manager was just to be respectful for how cars in and out of that aid station. Really important that if you are tending to athletes, this is a good place to tend to them well. The Rerewhakaitu is often foot triage and preparation for a long, drawn-out stint without any support from your crews or paces. So you're going it alone from here, 100-mile athletes.
Very popular spot.
Very.
I didn't make it there last year, but I saw some pictures and it looked like a great atmosphere. There were more than a few dinosaur outfits hanging around. I will note that the parking is on the opposite side of the road, so when you're crossing the road to the aid station, it'll be marshalled, but just take extra care.
Yeah.
There's plenty of parking on site.
And this aid station does take quite some time to drive to, so allow yourself plenty of time.
Yeah, this is definitely one you would bang in Google Maps. Mm-hmm. And what people will normally do is they'll go from this aid station to Okataina, or to catch the bus down to Okataina from the Oroto Iti rugby station. So what the other thing you want to put on your maps is how long it's going to take me to get from Rerewhakaitu to Oroto Iti rugby club, and then look at how much time you have to do that. It is plenty of time because your runners are going to do like a lot of kilometres between now and then. So a lot of people will be driving back to Rotorua to their accommodation, getting some rest, and then moving on to get to Okatona aid stations. Is pretty normal, but just be aware that it's a long way to Tipperary. So back into the forest for a little bit, and then out onto the farmland before the road again. Exposed and hot, Okahu aid station. You can spectate. Parking's not optimal. Cannot spectate?
Can't get to that one.
No driving to at all?
Not to Okahu.
Okay.
That's private, yeah.
Okay, cool. So, yeah, it's on the farmland still.
Yep.
Yeah, sorry, that's correct. So, yeah, sorry, we used to have it on the road where you could get to. Okay, good. Yep. Back into Tarawera Forest. Now, the first part of your journey through the Tarawera Forest is the most rolly part. And I think I can turn this. Oops. It's bang. I'm going to just cache the maps off the good people at New Zealand Topo Maps. Tonga Road is quite a climb. So this is another one of the big five for our 100-mile athletes. So sharp up, a little washed out on the left-hand side, but you know it's a thing. It's a pretty grunty climb. So it rolls initially at first as you go in here, and then you'll climb sharply. You've got some undulations before it gets to net downhill all the way towards Hawea and around to the outlet. So it nicely downhill and favourable. Anything else we need to know about Hawea? Standard aid station?
Yeah, not really. No.
Suana Duena's
You're in the Tarawera Forest now, so you're going to be well looked after by Suana Duena's crew, obviously.
good hosts as always. You can see obviously the Mount Tarawera dome through there. You'll pass under the flanks of the mountain itself, out towards where the red line here. You'll be carrying along true west towards the outlet aid station, so you can see the 100k course coming in there. So this is where I'm going to pause, and we're going to pick up our 100k athletes. Starting at Kawerau, you can drive to the start line, or you can take a bus from the village green.
Correct. Yep.
Recommend?
Lots of buses. Yeah, lots of buses, so it's the best way to go. It is a long drive. Yeah.
It's almost an hour to get around there on the bus.
Traffic,
Yeah.
Someone had asked whether the bus will stop to let you tinkle. It will not stop to let you tinkle. But there's Furmanfield has got pretty good club rooms and bits and pieces, loads of
Portaloos.
loads of portaloos and bits and pieces there. Usually coffee, usually a lot of athletes just preparing and mustering to get ready for the day. Start time is 7 a.m.
That's right.
Okay, just as the sun is starting to come up, so often people are on the brink with the headlamp at that stage, and there'll be a good commentary train to gee up, send you on your way. This is obviously the Shiny Diamonds doing their Golden Ticket 100. This is where you see some of the best runners in the world lined up. So this is a great selfie opportunity if you know who to look for. Try and get them if you can. Your running's is just lovely along the golf course, and then out of town along the river's edge. Swift flowing river, but absolutely beautiful. This is actually the route that the course took in the first few years to finish in Kawerau, but only really used now with the 100k course. It is exposed in places because of the milling work, but they are doing their best to continue to evolve the course so they can keep you undercover, but it's relatively early on, so it shouldn't be too hot. The course has been described as having great views of the valley, which means that you won't always be covered through here, but it's pretty good. The climb from Tatoki, gradual uphill up to the top of the hill, and then you'll join the 100k course for a downhill. You're roughly about 40 k's to the outlet, so whatever your marathon time is here, you'd want to try and beat it. So 2:40 marathon. No, please be mindful about pacing yourself. Because the running is very, very good in these forestry sections, it's very easy to go out too hard. So please just temper your enthusiasm and think about what ceilings you're putting on your paces and your heart rate to help guide you to a sensible start to your run, because every year I see people at the outlet when I'm there that have done too much 40k's into their 100k. So just be sensible there.
Especially when you're following some of the world's best.
Easy to do. And so this 5k section from the outlet down to the Tarawera Falls, again, probably some of the best running in the country. It is absolutely magic that Tarawera River goes along here. It disappears underground a few places, comes out in resurgence, and disappears again before spewing out of the rock face to present you with Tarawera Falls. You will be running away from the Tarawera Falls, so they'll be behind you, but you'll know it by sound. It is worth tuning in that moment and taking a photograph. If you're very lucky, there will be an event photographer there that might get you doing an awesome star jump in front of it. We'll see how we go. Any thoughts on that section of trail? Savour it.
I agree with you. It's one of the best.
Yeah.
The water is just crystal clear in
Yeah.
the river, and then the falls are one of those things where the pictures don't do it justice. You've got to be there to see it. And it will actually take your breath away.
Yep, and the flow rate's really quite high at the moment with the amount of rain that we've had in the last few weeks, so it'll be fair bellowing out of the cliff face. It's quite variable, and at the moment it's fair punching its way out. So will be very cool to look at. You then come down to what is the Tarawera Falls car park. Traditionally, you'll be crossing the river on a closed section of road normally that no one has access to, and getting into a part of the course that no one can. Lots of this course you don't get to run in, but it's very special that we've got access to it. The road to ET15 Forest, and you will be doing what is the longest climb of your day for the 100k and 100 mile athletes. So to put it in perspective, it is 1.5 times the climbing that you will do out of Okataina up Western Okataina. So initially pretty gradual and open on the roads. They have filtered it into a bit more what I would describe as dilapidated forestry roads, so depreciated stuff that you could take the rental Hilux down if you didn't want any more paint on the side of it. So beautiful railway tracks for you to run down in there with mossy bits in between. So a significant upgrade on previous year, which was much more exposed. So thanks for that update. So no longer Fentanyl aid station, is now Otamori.
Yeah, beautiful spot. Amazing views of the valley, but in a good way.
Yeah, yeah.
They are behind you, so make sure you turn around, similar to the falls, and appreciate that. Maybe it's a good spot to have a break and just take it all in.
Yeah.
A really nice spot before you start climbing into Road 15.
Yeah, there is another great volcano that you can see out here as well. That is one of the family members, Putuaki, Mount Edgecombe, that was orphaned away during the rupture between Mount Taranaki, Mount Ruapehu, Mount Narahoi, on who was going to get to date who. So the story between that volcano and some of the other volcanoes is well worth researching if you want to get a little bit of history, but it's a beautiful cone that you'll get to see out there. Very sharp climb when you leave Otamuri Aid Station. So I just want to point out all of these orange lines here. If you don't know what they mean you're in for a good time. Now, I once read in a hut book, a lot of BS can happen between two orange lines on a map, and it certainly is going to happen here. So, I don't know, choose to enjoy this moment because it's going to be very pure and real. But once you get up on the top, you've actually got some spectacular running, first down the ridgeline and then down the forestry road. Again, a little bit more enclosed and sheltered before you come to the road to ET Aid Station, which will be crewed by local iwi.
That's right.
That's going to be awesome.
It was their first time last year and they loved it.
Yeah. If you get the chance, ask them for a story or an anecdote. They'll have loads. This is a very closed section of the forest normally, and no one gets in here. So very, very cool. Your descent down to the Okataina Aid Station is a bulldozed track of sorts. It's once was a forestry road, but it's really quite steep. They've changed it a little bit this year. Nick's tried to make it a little bit better. But if it was bucketing down and it was wet, this is definitely a point at which you must have trail shoes. Now, my tip for that is if you are a road shoe person, changing to trail shoes, the drop bag that I would do it in, changing to trail shoes, is here, Otamuri. So that would help you with a bit of an ugly climb here and this particularly challenging descent. And I've got probably a 3-year-old. What's happening? Hi, Sebastian. I've got a pitch invader, my little guy. So into Lake Okataina, this aid station, just note here that the alignment is that you'll be coming through the Outdoor Education Centre. Thusly, this is where you must only arrive as a spectator by bus. The buses are leaving from here, I believe. That's it there.
Rugby club,
Yep. So anyone who's driving out there to leave their car can do so. You catch your bus from there, and they're the only ones that have access from this intersection down to the bottom of the hill for obvious reasons. And you'll see when you're going down on the bus just why we do that. So spectators, this is a cool spot. Like I said, bring cash, sausage sizzle, lots of stuff. You'll probably spend a lot of time here. Cell phone coverage is not, I believe.
Not great, but we're going to have some Starlink on site, and we'll have iPads this year, so you can, if you need to know where your runner is, we can find out where they are.
Oh, badger everyone as to where they are. I recommend before you leave the rugby club that you use that last whiff of guaranteed cell phone coverage to see how your athlete is tracking and work out roughly what time they're expected in at Okataina Aid Station. So for our runners, you'll be entering and exiting through a loop, and I think you're going through There's a really cool arch in here, I think.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
And you'll be looping through here. Really cool place day or night. Much better than the setup that we had last year. Continual process improvement. For our 100k and 100 mile athletes, this now represents one of your tougher sections of the course. Western Ukataina is about 5.5 kilometers of climbing. Steep at first, then it levels out. Let's get some more orange lines up in here. Steep at first, then it has a bit of a false flat through the middle, and then we're just going to download the internet, and then steep towards the finish. So you can see the steep climb here as you leave the meadows, flattens out a little bit in the middle, and then climbs a little bit towards the trig. This will be a marshalling point, but it's not an aid station point. A lot of people use poles for this section, particularly 100k athletes. They'll pick up their poles at Ukataina and use that to help them get through this climb. For a lot of athletes I'm working with, keep in mind it's about 2.5 hours of on feet between this aid station, Ukataina, and Miller Road. Steep downhill at first. You like to put it into perspective, it's a bit tree rooty and ugly. I used to ride on a mountain bike, but I didn't enjoy it. But I didn't make a great mountain biker. The less said about that, the better. And then you cross 1, 2, 3 streams. You can count them down. You'll go through a little open area where you'll see some open farmland. That's how you know that you're not there yet. This is an emergency extraction point only. You don't want to be pulled off the course at any time through this section. It is a very long time to get out. I would not recommend it. Try and get your way to Miller Road if you can. Just take it easy. The running for the last 3 or 4 Ks into Miller Road is actually really lovely as it comes down.
Out a bit more, doesn't it?
Yeah.
After the...
Yeah, a bit wider. And Miller Road's awesome, always a fun affair. Miller Road is not a spectator point. You cannot get here by car. It is for athletes only. That is a good opportunity for your resupply. Down a little gravel road, and then you go down to what is Dock Campground. Down here along some boardwalks to Boys Beach. If you really must spectate athletes, you can do it at Boys Beach here. It is a lovely place to come out for a swim on a hot summer's day. Keep in mind that on Saturday it will be very busy with normal people taking up most of the car park, but it's a great place for beach blankets, and it's a very popular swimming point. So if you are a 100k supporter that's going to be here at a favourable time of the day, that is a popular spot. Just be mindful that you aren't allowed to interact with your athletes at this point. Athletes through Okaraka Township, you've got a little bit of climb towards Calder and Steep Street, gradually down the hill towards past the fire station, and then into probably the most technical section of trail of the course for the 100k and 100 miler, probably. Just as we join Okaraka through to Tikitapu, it's about 2 kilometres gradually uphill, but well marked, but very braided. Is that a fair way to say? For many athletes, you're at dark times now, so just keep your wits about you. The road will be on your right at all times. Not much to say. It's quite hilly on your left. There's a road on your right. If you keep that in mind, you'll make it through. You're not going to get lost. The marking is always hyper aggressive through here with reflective markers to see us all through. Down to Tikitapu. Marshalled to cross the road, but please be very careful crossing the road. It's a busy road. You will then run alongside the road. You'll come around the back of the lake. You'll climb 50 odd beautiful steps at the back beach. We are in the high water line this year because there's high lake levels with the amount of rain we've had. So you may not be entering the trail at the earliest opportunity. It might actually be just a little bit further along, but they will navigate the course conditions and give you the best possible course that you can, closest possible to the event. It's annoyingly very gradually uphill for a kilometre here. And then you've got 400 metres of downhill along Tikitapu. This is a magic along the side of the lake here. And then you'll be joining we are now 100 mile course, 100k course, and 50k course at Tikitapu. Yes?
Yes.
How am I doing?
You're doing amazing.
I am heckin' exhausted. Okay. This is also the start line for the T21, which is actually 23, but let's not talk about it.
Value for money.
Value for money, extra kilometres. So just touching on that briefly, there is ample parking out here, but recommend the bus.
Yep, always recommend the bus for all start lines, but if you have to drive, then we do have parking available.
Yeah, so there's a high and low car park. The marshals will put you in the correct one, but there is some 1,000 to 2,000 runners that will start that race. So just keep that in mind. Do you think you could fit 2,000 cars in here? And
it's such a short trip. Even if you're on the right hand side car park, it's really quick.
Correct. It's
But
only
longer.
about 10 kilometres as a drive, maybe 11 kilometres as you would drive it from the village green. So, yeah, parking in there. That will be a well-mustered start with coloured bibs
Yes.
corralled along the road here before you get filtered through like a filter to help people get out on the course. And the road is closed initially for all runners.
That's right.
So that they will get to run along the road until they get all the way around to the back bit. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So that's your red line there. So the 21k runners will be on the road until they join the rest of everyone else's courses.
And that's obviously to help spread people out. And
Yeah.
And just to note that the road is closed from 9:45 till 11, so it's quite a long time. So, and that road is the only way to get to Buried Village aid station. So something to be aware of.
Yeah, don't get stuck on the wrong side of Buried Village if you're trying to get to see your athlete.
Absolutely. So that time again, the road is closed from
9:45 a.m. The start is at 10.
Yes.
And then it's closed till 11 or until the last athlete is off the road, which
Okay.
we estimate to be close to 11.
Yeah, so if you are going out to the Berry Village to cruise/support your 100-mile athlete, keep those times in mind. Hard close from 10 till 11. Go early if you have to go early, but otherwise you're stuck until 11, which is
There is no other way.
which is 5 hours into the 100-mile race. So that should be pretty straightforward for the 21k course. That then joins our 100-mile course, our 50k course, and our 100k course. You'll be going along the back of the car park area here. After you leave the aid station, there are multiple opportunities to interact with runners, to spectate runners. A reminder that you can't interact with runners after Tiki Tapu until we get to the next aid station point, which is in the Redwoods. So it's a little bit of a climb here through a feeder track until you get to Windy Road or Windy Road, depending upon how you want to say it. No one's really clarified that. It's either Windy or Windy Road, you choose. You'll come to Tepotaki o Tawa, which is the Tawa car park. Sneaky little spot for a coffee along here. There is a little coffee cart that's normally here. Pretty good parking if you want to spectate people. Just be careful turning across the road to get in here, but you can definitely spectate but not touch athletes at that point. They'll carry along Windy Road, merges into Pipeline Road at some point, and then you'll get to starting your Tokarangi Pa climb, and my house isn't on here. Anyway, I'll be shouting at you.
Listen out.
Listen out for me. I'll be shouting at you from the other side of the valley if it's night time. So, there it is. Okay, great.
Don't be afraid.
Yeah, don't be afraid. You'll climb quite a steep climb here. Again, one of the big five. Excuse me whilst I change over here. You'll come along Pipeline Road, drop off into a bit of sort of single track forest trail. Climb sharply around the Tokarangi Pa site. There you go. There's the pa right there, like I said. This was the old original site for the only fortified pa in the Whakarewa forest, and some cool stories about that, which I will wax lyrical about on the microphone when I'm on the commentary drag. This is really steep through here, lean into your poles. Some of the elites will run it, and a training run, I would normally walk it, even with relatively fresh legs. So it's relatively short, but it is a climb of note. Tokarangi Pa Road, you run along, feels like it's uphill in both directions. It's rolly, it's a bit choppy. Let's go back to this. You'll get to what we call quarry track, and then you'll drop down here, purple track, quarry track. You'll take the left intersection, it'll be signposted in Marshalls. Marshalled, you'll go down a set of stairs through the valley, not the horrible, ugly, steep stairs that you can't see that I'm not pointing to, that we have done on previous years. So you'll come out through the valley. I will talk about this part just briefly. All courses that I've spoken of, the 21, the 50, the 100k and the 100 mile, you will be doing this blue line that you see here under the redwoods. You'll know you're under the redwoods because they're really big redwoods. Is that clear? You'll be turning right at this intersection. It will be marshalled. The reason why I draw your attention to that is because on Sunday, the 14k athletes will be entering this part of the course, and they'll be travelling through this part of the course and exiting past their own route to Rifle Range Road and their own aid station. Now this matters if you're a 100-mile athlete and you're going to be about 29 to 31 hours to complete the race. I say that because you are going to tee into the T14 course with lots of runners. So be aware, it is marshalled, but you will need to turn off here to go down to the sails. It is marshalled, and the marshal will try and aggressively divert 100-mile athletes down to the sails, but it is possible for you to accidentally carry on with all of those lovely, fresh-looking T14 athletes and end up on their course. It is not the end of the world if you do. It's no advantage or disadvantage other than you're going to go through their aid station and not your aid station. You'll miss your paces for the final 10k run to the finish line, and you'll miss all the fun and frivolity of the sales aid station. So please, if you're a 100-mile athlete that is going to be finishing in about 29 to 31 hours, just be aware through this section as you get to the redwoods. Pay attention, know your courses.
And we separated out the aid stations. We thought that the miler athletes wouldn't appreciate lots of really fresh-faced people sprinting past them.
Yeah, I feel happy. So Redwood's aid station pinned here 4 times for all courses. Under the sails, beautiful spot. Really good party vibe. The parking here is generally pretty busy on any day. But however, there is parking all the way along Te Tokarangi Drive, and I recommend just banging it in anywhere along here that you see space and walking the last bit to the end here. It can be very busy. Don't assume that you're going to get parking at the visitor centre. We now have all courses pretty much on this section, so it's going to be busy both Saturday and Sunday. If you do go all the way to the end here, there's excellent coffee at Eastwood. Go and check it out. That is amazing down there, but off courses for everybody. Through the Dog Run Park, it's very flat from here on into town. You're going to do a swirly whirly to go under the bridge, and then you'll go to what we call the Iggy Smell of Success. Sulphur Point, for the sulphur, not for the fact that we all poop and flush and it ends up down here. The smell that you smell is definitely sulphur and definitely not what I had for breakfast. So that is along here. Awesome geothermal site. You can see it spilling out into the lake here, colouring the lake, and there's some great puffs of steam, and it's really running like nowhere else in the world. This particular spot along here to the bridge is just magic. So there's always great photos taken along here through the section and around the back here. As you get to the back of a hotel, unnamed, you will go past a massive bird colony, which is epic to look at too. You'll duck in past the polypools, which is worth a visit after the race and throughout the weekend if you can get to the polypools. Be careful with all the road crossings here. They will be marshalled, but obviously it's weird now. You're coming out of, for some people, many hours in the wilderness, and you're going to be dazzled by all of the sights and sounds and smells. I will mention it twice. You will carry along the lakefront here, past the museum, which is getting some renovations done. That's why it's wrapped up in glad wrap. Past the back of the event centre, all the way along Sulphur Point, around the old golf course, and then along the lakefront, which is just beautiful along here now. And then you'll come and join us on the finish line for a well-earned lay-down, hard-earned medals for all athletes. Hell, I might have done it.
I think it's easier running 160 k's than it is.
Kerry has just run all the ultras. Yeah. If you need to know anything about the T14 course and you are running it, please just put a message in Facebook and I'll cover it there. Don't make me do anything I don't want to do. I'll give you just a moment.
And we're really excited about this one. Obviously, first year, we're hoping that maybe friends and family of perhaps people who are doing the longer distances might use it as an opportunity. Hopefully we get plenty of locals running it as well. Cut
your teeth on this one. You get access to cool stuff and you'll get to be part of something special. I will be there on the finish line to welcome you in. We can have a hug and a high five. You're through Tapuia, through Hemo Gorges with everyone else. But the difference here is instead of going up to Pohaturoa climb, we've spared you that grief. You'll go along what's called Mud Pool, and there's a lovely little mud pool right here. And some say that it is where a bird woman was captured and drowned in the mud to escape. Anyway, there's some great Maori legends associated, I think, potentially with that mud pool, as I can understand it. You'll climb briefly here to get up to Radio Hut Road, sometimes spelled with 2 T's. You'll come along Radio Hut Road, down Nursery. It's pretty steep from this intersection down Nursery. The lead runners will be doing this at faster than 3-minute K pace, but I probably would just say it's gravel and then it's road. Look after yourself, enjoy your descent. Rolly at first, steep down this road, and then you're into that section I talked about. Through your turn off here for red track. Watch, it will be marshalled. A lot of people will have the feeling that they want to carry on straight. I would not recommend it. You'll go under around the back of some hot springs, along through the redwoods, and then, as I said before, you'll be going past the sails and down Rifle Range Road, and then joining everyone else all the way on and on until we get to the finish line. And I've done it with all courses. Let me just turn off this window capture so we can get back to Kerry's. Oh wait, Kerry's exhausted face. Is there anything I missed on those courses that cannot be? Well, can we go back, please?
You didn't miss any inch of it.
Okay.
Well done.
If you have further questions, keep chucking them in the groups. Everyone's really supportive and playful in there. So one of the things that we're famous for in trail running is to look out for one another and both through the training process and on race day. So let's keep that love alive as we go into New Zealand hosting, I think we call the Big Friendly, one of the Australasia's greatest events, 16th year asterisks, and I've loved every single one of them, and this one, continued process of improvement. New guy at the helm, same old team, many familiar faces, so yeah.
Are you calling me out?
No, not at all. Same old faces. Mitch is over there, he's the same old faces. Just be courteous, grateful, look out for one another, travel safe. We will see you Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and beyond. Take care, and thank you for joining me for this exhaustive review of everything Tarawera. Cheers, team.